Good morning and welcome to your Thursday, July 22nd yoga practice. Let's sit tall and arrive here with a full breath or two. As you settle in, I'll share a quote from Toni Morrison. I'm sure I've shared this before, but it's so good. If you surrender to the wind, you can ride it. If you surrender to the wind, you can ride it. So we might think of any resistance that we create in our lives, not accepting things as they are, not working with reality. Whatever's going on in the outside world, if we surrender, we can ride the waves of life. Draw your hands together in front of your heart space. If you'd like to chant one long Om, let's inhale for that vibration. Release your hands. Bring the soles of your feet together, Baddha Konasana. And here you might bring blocks under your thighs. You might perch yourself on a blanket if you haven't already. Or maybe you just arrive as you are, working without tools. Sometimes when I forget my props, I remind myself that the ancient yogis didn't have props and blocks and mats. And sometimes you borrow one from a friend. Maybe you start to slowly butterfly your legs, just a time or two, and then settle in for stillness. Adjust your hands so that you can relax your shoulders down and gently draw your shoulder blades together and down. Shoulders are stacked over hips. See if you can find some ease in your thighs. As we stay here for another few breaths, you might drop your left ear to your left shoulder, breathing into the right side of your neck. And exhaling, you may roll your head forward and switch right ear to right shoulder, breathing and stretching into the left side of your neck. Return your head to neutral. Plant your feet in front of you. Bring your hands back behind you. Go easy on your wrists, of course. Cross your right ankle over your left thigh, and then maybe you step your left thigh in a little closer to your hips. Breathe, and perhaps you sway your legs side to side. And then let's find stillness. Wherever you are, see if you can keep lengthening your spine. Relax your jaw, relax your neck. See if you can let go of your right hip. You might notice that you might be clenching it. Try to soften. And then extend your left leg long. Shift your right leg farther over to the left. Maybe you can even stack your left knee on top of your right knee. So it's like a half Gomukhasana cow face pose. Flex your left foot and ankle. You can keep your hands supporting your right leg, and no worries if your right leg is nowhere near the left thigh. Work with it wherever it is. You can also always wedge a block under the right thigh to support it. You can keep your hands on your legs, maybe walk them down, or if you feel like you've got the space for it, inhale, reach your arms up overhead. Keep both of your hips anchored into the earth. Exhale, hinge forward any amount. It's early in the morning and this is some deep hip work, so go easy on yourself. A strategy that sometimes serves me really well in life is to pretend I am my own best friend. And sometimes then I have to imagine my best friend and what I would want for her, and then face swap. So treat yourself as if you just love you so much. You don't want to cause any harm, but you want to explore and create space. Maybe you bring blocks into the picture if they're in arm's reach. You can rest your hands or arms on blocks. Maybe you even bring a block to your top leg and rest your head on there. We're going to stay here for about 5 more breaths. So find a way to make it a positive experience, or at least neutral. Another big breath. And if you used blocks, we'll set them back out of the way. Sit up tall. Unwind your legs. Bring the soles of your feet together. Pass through Baddha Konasana. And notice if you can feel a difference between your left and right hip. Maybe, maybe not. Plant both feet. Bring your hands back behind you. Cross your left ankle over your right thigh. Sit tall. Breathe deeply. Maybe you invite a little sway into your hips. Maybe you walk your right foot closer to your hips. Notice if you're holding your jaw, and try to let it go. Couple more breaths here. Just paying attention to the quality of your mind and thoughts, the sensations in this present moment. Everything's impermanent, it's constantly changing. As you're ready, send your right leg long. Shift your left leg over as much as you can. Maybe you're able to stack your left knee on top of your right knee, right on the thigh. Try to keep both hip bones pressing into the earth. Give yourself a moment to settle in. This is a newer position. One leg, cow face, back stretched out pose. I can stumble through the Sanskrit. Ekapada Gomukhasana Paschimottanasana. That's a tongue twister. So you can walk your hands down your legs just like this. Or if you feel like you have the space, reach your arms up. As you inhale, lift your torso up out of your hips. Anchor your right leg to the earth, and as you exhale, hinge forward any amount. Breathe deeply. Where can you soften to create more space? Maybe you bring blocks into the story. You might roll your head and neck side to side. And maybe you're noticing sensation all the way down the back as you move your head and neck. About 5 more breaths here. Can you notice the texture of your breath? As you're ready, we'll slowly sit up tall. You can use your hands to help you plant your feet. Hands back behind you, then windshield wipe your legs side to side. All right, make your way into tabletop. Take a few cow and cat poses. Take any other movement that feels good to you here. Maybe swaying the hips side to side. Maybe drawing some circles. Another breath or two. Tuck your toes. Inhale deeply, and on an exhale, send your hips high. Downward facing dog. Here, let's really bend, let's say, your right knee and send your hips off to the right, straightening your left leg. And then bend your left leg, straightening your right, sending your hips off to the left. Keep your hands planted evenly. Big stretch. Right. Uh-oh. Toby. I checked on a friend's cat this morning, which is why I'm all puffy and runny-nosed. And I think Toby just got a whiff. Please don't attack me. All right, inhale, look forward between your hands, scoop your belly in. Exhale, make your way to the top of the mat. It's okay, you're my one and only. Hang heavy. Don't do it, Toby. On an inhale, rise all the way up, arms out and up. Exhale, hands to your heart. Inhale, reach out and up. Exhale, hinge forward, hands touch down. Step your right foot way back in space. Pause for a moment here in high runner's lunge. And then let's set the right knee down. Bring your left hand to the inside of your left foot, walking the left foot out to the edge of the mat. Maybe bring your blocks in as we settle in for Uttam Prasthasana lizard pose. The left leg is hugging the left arm. Try to lengthen your spine as much as you can. You can keep your right toes tucked if you'd like to explore lifting your right knee off of the mat and pressing back through the heel, or you can keep your right knee lowered and untuck the toes. Breathe wherever you go. Few breaths here. If you'd like, then plant your hands and bend your right knee. With the left leg staying in lizard pose, our right hand can reach back, maybe, and find the right ankle. If you do that, really try to squeeze your legs together so we keep our hips more neutral and we don't sway into our low back. One more breath. And exhale, release. Plant your hands, step yourself back to plank pose. Inhale and plank, and exhale. Inhale. Exhale, lower your knees, lower your torso all the way, untuck your toes. Inhale, draw your heart forward. Upper back really working here. Float your hands off of the mat to stay in baby cobra, or for full cobra, press your hands into the mat. Draw your heart forward and up. Lengthen your low back. One more breath. Wherever you are, exhale, lower down, tuck your toes. Inhale. Exhale, push the earth away. Bend your knees, find downward facing dog. Inhale, look forward. Core muscles engaged. Exhale, make your way to the top of the mat. On an inhale, rise all the way up, arms out and up. Exhale, hands to your heart. Inhale, reach out and up. Exhale, fold forward, hands touch down, left foot steps back in space, pause and high runner's lunge. Press back through the sole of your left foot. Shift your outer right hip back so our hips are supported. After a breath or two, lower your left knee, bring the right foot to the right edge of the mat. Right hand comes inside of the right foot. The right leg's hugging onto the right arm. Maybe you use blocks, maybe not. Maybe you stay on your hands, maybe you lower to your forearms. Imagine squeezing your legs together and try to lengthen your spine. Maybe you explore lifting your left knee off of the ground. And after a breath or two, maybe you explore that hamstring curl, planting your hands, lowering your left knee, and then bending your left knee heel towards hip. This is enough. You can stay here, or with your left hand, maybe you can grab the outer left ankle. Try to squeeze the legs together. There's our isometric muscle contraction, giving our body structure and support. Another big breath. And release, lowering your foot, planting your hands, step yourself back to plank pose. A little bit of play in plank. If you need to, come to soft knuckles to give your wrists a break. Try to keep the knuckles straight and neutral. In plank, core muscles engaged, press back through the soles of your feet. Try to lengthen your low back. Then bring your left foot to the right leg, tree pose in plank. Breathe here for 3, 2, 1. Set the left foot back down. Right foot comes to left leg, anywhere except for on the knee. Finding a plank pose with tree. Inhale and breathe for 3, 2, 1. Enough of that. Put your right foot back, lower your knees. Find Balasana, child's pose. You might anchor your elbows and lift your hands, drawing some circles with your wrists. Extend your arms, putting your hands on the mat. Inhale, rise up through tabletop, tuck your toes. Exhale, downward facing dog. A couple of breaths here. On an inhale, look forward between your hands. Exhale, make your way to the top of the mat. If the blocks are there, let's go ahead and set them up on their highest setting so they're waiting for us. And inhale, rise all the way up, arms out and up. Exhale, hands to your heart. You can step back from the blocks. We won't need them quite yet. Find Tadasana, mountain pose. You can have your hands together in front of your heart space or down by your side. We'll start exploring Vrikshasana, tree pose. So if you know you like a little wall or chair for balance support, you might move to that now. Before we move right into it, I know I always have a tendency to just get into it, but first start with your foundation. As Julie Andrews taught us, we'll start at the very beginning. Very good place to start. So that's mountain pose. Notice that your feet are on the earth. Notice that your toes are light, that the imagined four corners, square of the soles of your feet, that's planting into the earth. This is an important first step. Remember, the ancient yogis only had a couple of poses, so we can fully entertain ourselves with Tadasana. Kneecaps lift, quads engage, spine lengthens, lifting your torso up out of your hips, shoulder blades together and down. Maybe it feels so good here that this is where you stay, fully engaged and focused. Maybe you're ready to start carrying the weight into your right leg, letting your left foot float off any amount. Externally rotate your left hip so your left toes point away from your body, and bend your left knee. Now here, maybe you lift your leg and plant your left foot on the inseam of your right thigh. Maybe you keep the toes of the left foot on the earth and make a little kickstand at your ankle. Wherever you go, breathe into it. Press your lifted foot into your standing leg along that central energetic line. Your hands might be by your sides or at your heart space. Maybe you'd like to explore growing your branches up overhead. Keep lengthening your spine, anchoring down while you also lift up. Really engage the gluteal muscles of your standing leg. As you do that, you'll notice it literally hugs to the midline. Another breath like this. And slowly release. Pause for a moment, reestablishing Tadasana, mountain pose. Slowly begin to carry the weight into your left leg. Stay light on your left toes. Feel your left gluteal muscles hugging into the midline. Right foot floating off the ground, the toes point away from your body. Bend your right knee any amount, maybe placing it higher on the thigh. Wherever you go, foot presses into leg, leg presses into foot, and meet in the middle. Lengthen your spine, lift your crown. Maybe your arms float up overhead. Breathe. You might be able to notice all of the subtle happenings in the ankle of your standing leg. So amazing. All these muscles are adapting and doing anything they can to stabilize you without you having to ask them to. Breathe. And slowly begin to release Vrikshasana, tree pose. Release your hands by your side, returning to Tadasana, mountain pose. Oh, my ring light's on its last life, I'm sorry. All right, stay in mountain pose for just another breath. No. Sorry for the lighting. All right, inhale, reach your arms up overhead, and exhale, sink your hips back. That lighting's not anyone's friend, yeesh. All right, from chair pose, carry the weight into your left leg, float your right foot off of the ground. You might stay here. This is enough. This is working your stabilizing muscles in the hips and core. Maybe you're able to cross your right ankle over your left thigh, finding that figure 4 chair pose. If so, you've got options here. You can stand up and take a tree variation, or you can sit your hips low, sinking into chair, maybe even reach for those blocks that are waiting for you. Sway your hips perhaps. Anything that feels good. Maybe you fold forward, straightening your left leg more. We've got 3 to 5 breaths to explore. Notice what's happening. If it's feeling great or frustrating, it's okay, whatever's coming up. Ride the wave. Ride the wind. With an inhale, we'll begin to release whatever variation you took. And with an exhale, set your right foot down. Return to Tadasana, mountain pose. Maybe you notice a rush of energy or blood flow or heart rate spiked. Inhale, reach your arms up. Exhale, sink your hips back. Breathe here. Slowly start to carry the weight into your right leg, floating your left foot off of the earth. This is challenging enough as it is. Perhaps you stay here. Maybe you cross your left ankle over your right thigh. From here, options abound. You can stay just like this in a very awkward chair pose, balancing with figure 4. Maybe you stand up, finding a tree variation. Maybe you sink your hips super low, dropping your hands to the blocks. You can sway your hips or find stillness. You can bend your right knee generously or straighten the leg. Permission to play, and notice if you don't like that. I remember in classes, I used to get so frustrated when teachers would be like, free flow, do whatever you want for the next few breaths. And now, look at me. It's an opportunity for you to explore and observe, and maybe that means observing frustration. Another breath. Wherever you are, can you lengthen your spine? And from wherever you are, slowly begin to return to mountain pose. Inhaling deeply and exhaling to release whatever posture and shape you took. Stand tall in mountain pose, giving yourself a moment to feel the sensations. You might repeat to yourself, I am strong. Inhale, reach out and up. Exhale, fold forward. Bend your knees generously, clasp opposite elbows. Look side to side, release tension in the neck this way. If you like garland pose, if that works well for your body, then let's pivot on our heels, toes pointing out, heels pointing in, maybe widen your stance, and bend your knees, start sinking your hips down. You can always wedge a block under your seat or two. We'll just be here for a moment. This is a deep hip opener, so wherever you are, it's good. Lengthen your spine. You can use your arms, elbows to press your thighs wide. One of my little tricks here is to squeeze and release my gluteal muscles one side at a time. And that helps me kind of sink lower. As you squeeze and then release, it can signal to the nervous system to release muscle tension. So it's a massage trick sometimes we use. One more breath. When you exhale, drop your hips, send your legs long, roll onto your spine. Sweet surrender. Let your legs flop open, arms come out from the body, palms to the sky. Savor this moment of surrender, Shavasana. Imagine a wave of peace rolling over you. Stay with your breath. Deepen your breath. Take your time, slowly waking your body up. You might take a full body stretch here. As you're ready, return to an easy seated posture. We'll meet with hands pressed together in prayer mudra. If you'd like to close practice with one long Om, inhale deeply. Thank you for sharing your practice with me and your community. Namaste.